This lady is fierce. She's fierce, she's talented. She represents New Zealand in combat sports. Man, even when you say that, I'm just scared reading the next part. She's got a passion for pushing boundaries. She competes at the highest level in Muay Thai, kickboxing, MMA, boxing. I can't wait for her to box, Nigel. She's got this relentless drive to succeed, and she makes waves. She's continued to make waves around the world in combat sports, inspiring fans and aspiring village athletes alike. Clap her in, Oos. Our guest, Genah Fabian.
Nice.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sela. Thank you, Nigel.
Welcome.
An intro.
Fabioso.
Oh,
You fabulous.
the story behind that, when I was in high school, outside of high school, I had an ex-boyfriend, and I tried to, you change your name, so that was that, and then so I just tried to have a different alias so that he wouldn't find me online. And
was that when you became the ex?
Yes, yeah,
Did
yeah.
you go
So
deal
that
ourselves
was
by any chance?
We're only good boys at that school.
No.
Only good boys.
Yeah, only good boys at De La Salle. No,
right.
So that was actually that original story to that name, but then it kind of stuck as I transcended to become a fighter.
Yeah, it's a powerful name though. It's
Yeah,
a strong
yeah,
name. It's wonderful.
yeah.
Like,
What is
means
it?
Fabioso.
What is that?
I don't even know the meaning.
It means splendid. It means wonderful. Like
In what language?
Fabioso language.
What language is that?
Well, I think the Spain. No, I'm not going to say this
sounds
because
Italian.
someone is going to jump online if I say this. But it sounds South American, and the meaning is splendid, wonderful, and all that sort of stuff. And I think you've
I've never.
trailblazed.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got a
Well, there you go.
First for everything. Yeah. Well, there you go.
He's got a nickname too.
Oh yeah. What is
No,
it?
this guy's got stupid nicknames.
He's Fabio.
Oh,
Have you heard of Fabio?
yes, I have.
You have.
Yeah, the
Have you seen
Salmon Fabio.
Have you seen a photo of Fabio?
Voice is being stupid. That's
That's
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to this chat.
Come on.
Because, when I Google you, and we have to Google people when they come on to the Village Athlete podcast, so we can get to know them. Man, there's so many photos of you either hitting someone or with your hands in the air, with your gloves on. So people know you as a fighter, But we want this chat to be more about you, the person, because I think there's so much more about Genah Fabian as a fighter, I think you as a person have paved the way for you as a boxer, and you as a fighter, you as Muay Thai, and all that sort of stuff. Agreed?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's strip it. Let's go way, way back to the beginning.
Okay.
When I did Google you, it said that you are Samoan, German, Māori. Correct?
Correct.
Is there any reason why it's in that order?
Probably because my roots and I was brought up by my grandmother, who is from my Samoan side, who was the one that immigrated to New Zealand, and so I was very fortunate to be raised by her and be very close to my grandmother growing up. So I had that kind of old school tough love, but pure love kind of upbringing from that side. And my father's side, he's Māori from Waikato, Tainui, iwi, waka,
Nice. And family? You've got sisters.
Yes, to my dad, so all girls, and and I'm the oldest, and we're all very close, and very, very similar, but I definitely took a different path to them, so
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to get to the path that you took in just a second. But you talked about your sisters being very different. I don't know what that looks like. Can you explain? Like, what are you and what are they?
Yeah, I guess from the environment and maybe that I was amongst at the time and the decisions I made, I decided to pursue a very niche and different career that took me all over the world. So I went abroad at those young kind of pivotal years, and they were brought up in Hamilton, and we come from a good family. But, their environment led them, and they became young mothers, which is, really thankful for my nieces and nephews, and I'm the cool auntie. But so we just, that's just how life went. And I have been someone, I guess, that has always kind of looked back on them and care fondly for them, and now their kids are something that are very like close to my heart, so and they're doing really well. So as they're growing older and watching that,
You didn't grow up in Hamilton?
No. So my mother and father split at a young age, and I was raised by my mother's side, more so here in Auckland. That's where they originally from, and then dad's from like I said, Waikato ways. He was in Hamilton, and then he remarried, and then my other sisters, they were brought up there. They went to church college and all over actually.
Church college.
So, I know.
Hamilton Church College.
Yeah. I never went there.
Yeah.
I know. We know where you went to. So you went to Auckland Girls Grammar?
Yeah, St. Auckland Girls Grammar.
Is that where you learned to fight, eh?
That's where I definitely had my first fights for sure. That was my introduction. Yeah.
Did you see this guy's initials in the toilet? Envy.
It was always, it was always about some guy at St. Paul's or boys at St. Paul's. No, that was
in the library?
common. Not myself. I wasn't fighting over that, but it was always to do with something at St. Paul's or De La Salle. And I'm not just saying that because you both are here, but that was always when you got to the core of it. It was always to do with.
These are the stereotypes we were breaking down. Right now.
Which boys' school got the most mention?
Oh, definitely St. Paul's.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, because you guys were just around. They were just around the corner.
Yeah, well, we got a bigger library.
Yeah, we were their brother school.
You didn't always want to become a fighter. You got a background in track.
Yeah.
And you did that for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
So was sports always something?
Yeah. Just I think my mum, got me into initially track and a lot of different activities, as you do as a young kid. And I took to, I was a very tall, lanky, always been tall young kid. And I just took to athletics, and it's the one that stuck, and just enjoyed the camaraderie and the different competitions we'd go to all over Auckland initially. And it was just a bit of structure, I guess. And I was just naturally quite good at it, enjoyed the competition and developed through there. And that was definitely my base and background into sports in general.
Where'd you train it?
Initially, I was
shout them out, man. Give them a shout out.
Yeah. Initially, I was with Waitakere City.
Yeah.
And then I went over as the competition grew.
Is it a club?
Yeah, that was a club. And before it was, what's the one out at Trust Arena? Way before that, before it got Flash. Just around on the grass. And then I went to
Lake Sella.
Yeah. Then I went over to North Harbour. It was Bays Cougars at the time, the athletics club, but now it's where the Millennium Institute is and stuff.
North Harbour, that's a long way from
Yeah, it was. But
how'd you get there?
Mum.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Man, you were really invested in track.
Yeah.
And Mum was as well.
Yeah, she was, just because and growing up, my coaches, I was fortunate enough to be and not truly realising who I was amongst probably at that age, but one of my first coach, Kerry Hill, who was the athletics coordinator for New Zealand track, and then later Les Mills, who I spent many years with.
Right.
Yeah, and his wife, Colleen Mills, rest in peace. And then so I was very fortunate.
Those are
to
big
have some
names,
great
dude.
leaders, and they were father figures in my life. Growing up. So,
I mean, it sounds like your mum really pushed you into the sport. You were well invested into the sport. Did you see many other? It's not something that Islanders actually gravitate towards.
Yeah.
We run in the backyard, mate. We run on the street.
Yeah.
So did you find other girls in particular who look like you, and how did that make you feel? Like, are they good that there was some people who look like you, or maybe I'm not sure whether I belong here?
Yeah. So I was definitely stood out like a sore thumb, especially as I got through the age group ranks, and then the better decision, better facilities, better competition was in North Harbour that's when I transcended, and they were all blonde, white, beautiful, and at that age, you don't.
What age is this, Genah?
I would have went there from 12, 13, and then till I was 18. Okay. And so those kind of coming into adolescent, teenage years, and when you're starting to, grow up a bit more and branch off into other things. And you don't know colour, you don't know race, and especially I come from initially Te Aratu and then moved out to Greyland Ponsonby way, and so I was kind of used to brown faces and also a mix of white as well and stuff like that. So I didn't really know what I didn't know, but I was definitely an odd one out, especially being a Pacific Islander in a very white environment, a lot of white Afrikaans out there and things, and just a good mix, which exposed me as well. But we were all close friends through competition. And then I just knew I was a bit different. Like, I've got photos and I'm like the darkest, blackest thing in the middle of our like group photo, and you just don't know, it's quite funny. But it was an experience, not obviously realizing at the time, kind of, and then my only way to get acceptance, not just from the kids but the parents, because it's a very much a club in a way that you got to be accepted into that inner, the only way I could be is by beating their kids and winning, and so proving I'm an asset, so there was a layer of that as well once I understood a little bit more.
Did you go through a period where you went, stuff this, enough? In those early stages of understanding the different environment?
Yeah.
Just talking about being comfortable, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because you end up doing a lot of stuff later on.
Yes, I think I was just still quite ignorant at the time, and like I was a very like sociable, talkative, but also shy kid. But I didn't know what I didn't know, which kind of was a blessing in disguise, most probably.
Yeah.
And so it did make me hold my own in that environment, unbeknownst to me. Had I had more prior experience or knowledge of what was probably really going on, like, and the kind of looks I'd get and things like that, and biases towards me, but Mum did an amazing job of kind of keeping all that away. So I was very ignorant in those initial years, to what was kind of how it really was. I was thinking about what role Mum played in that. We've spoken with people, and even Nigel and I have spoken about this, about the level of involvement that a parent should have, whether they're too invested, whether they should back off a little bit, whether they should let their child navigate their own path. So can you speak to the role Mum played? You say you only knew what you knew, and have you had a chance to talk to her about what she may have protected you from, or was she that overprotective parent? Can you talk to that a little bit? My mum was a very hard worker, and she got that from my nana, obviously, but more so her being brought up in New Zealand, being first generation, and they had 9 brothers and sisters growing up, so everything was run like clockwork. Everything was, they had that hard work ethic in them from their upbringing, and from my nana, who was very tough, and so she had to hold down the fort for everything. And thinking back now, and how grateful I am for her, is like she managed a publishing company at the time, was looking after my nana, helping out her brothers and sisters. Like, there was a lot of us, all my cousins, things like that. Not realizing you're a kid, you take things for granted. Driving me halfway across the city, for trainings, multiple times a week, there and back, and picking me up from school, and making sure that I attended everything I needed to. She was just, she was a hustler, and she was always quite on the go and stressed, and you don't realize why, when you're just young and you just need to be at this place at this time. So she was just hard worker. No, she didn't force me. But once I obviously took to it, and I was winning at a national level, coming through the age groups and things like that. It was just an unsaid mutual thing. I was going for it. So, and it was something that I took to naturally on my own. And
were you, I'm guessing, I don't see too many islanders running long distance, were you like a sprinter?
No, yes.
100%. Yeah. Fast and fibers, we're all sprinters, man. We don't do long.
So my events were 100, 200, and then later triple jump, which Les Mills, who I mentioned, he got me into. I was quite.
That's natural. 3 steps, man. If we can.
And the fence at the end for Dilantel. Okay, sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, those were my events that I stood through. But yeah, I was definitely a fast twitch fibre athlete.
Yeah.
That middle to long distance is brutal, and that wasn't my specialty.
Okay,
Same.
so
So it was only 100 meters. Those.
when you're in track, you did it for a long time, and then you decided to move across to Australia.
Yes,
So what was the reason behind that? And you're pretty young.
I was. Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and again, you know, people watching this,
Yeah.
you know, boy or girl, leaving the nest at home,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
at an age like that, it's
Yeah.
like, well, you either know you're not going or go and never come back.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I went was because of a boy. And at the time, my boyfriend at the time, being young, we were high school sweethearts and we'd been together for years. He was actually a league player and he got...
Funny that, eh?
Yeah, I know, but hey, you know what? Hey,
This is breaking the
brings us to
stereotypes.
now.
Yeah, brings
that's
up, yeah,
right.
exactly.
Brings us to now.
Yeah, that's the
No,
path.
and you know what? Like, shout out to him, who will name, and his beautiful family. We're all still very fond of each other. We grew up together. We grew up together. So yeah, no.
I'm not. Do I know him?
Potentially.
Okay, then we'll
Yes.
talk about it later.
So do I know? I probably know.
Potentially.
Okay, all right,
Oh,
carry
yeah,
on.
no. Okay.
Yeah,
You're
so
a league boy
yeah.
from LaSalle. No, okay.
You're narrowing it down,
So
no,
so you end up leaving. So you
Yeah.
end up leaving.
Yeah, so we were together, and he got an opportunity over there, and then I out of high school I worked for at the time was a place called not News Corp, Fairfax Media.
Yeah,
Media.
I heard you had
Yeah.
a background in media.
Yeah. So thankfully, and again, through contacts of my mum, because she was in publishing and things at that point, they were able to give me a really elementary type job to expose myself to the corporate world. I was very green. I was just a teenager that ran track every weekend and travelled all over the country and things like that, and went to high school, and no exposure to that kind of and so it was a shock. I hated it. I had to communicate with adults, which funnily enough, like I feel like teenagers in this day and age can communicate and voice themselves so well. I think about when I was like that at that like 17, 18, like I don't think I spoke to many adults, in a kind of mutual way, conversational way. So even I think that, and you wouldn't say what's on your mind, like you wouldn't be outspoken as such. I think was the difference. Maybe certain people for sure, but I wasn't like that. I was
You
very
speak much when you were that age?
I was, but I didn't. Yeah,
I did.
Did you?
Oh, well, I did. That was anything I was
on
good
radio
at.
now.
Yeah.
Well, that's anything I was good
yeah,
at, 'cause,
and that was your gift and your knack.
Well,
Yeah, right. But as it turns out, yeah.
Okay, sweet.
But I wasn't. Yeah. So anyway, being exposed to that kind of environment I was very green.
yeah.
I was from Auckland Girls, and so like.
It's your fault you're saying that. You know?
That's right.
No, so yeah, it was just very different. But again, everything happens for a reason, and it very much grew me in a way of my confidence and my speech, how to handle myself. And my mother made me stay and do 1 year. So my partner at the time, he went over to Sydney to accept an honours contract.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so we did the long distance thing. I would travel back and forth, just hop over to Sydney, the odd weekend and stuff. But it was very tough, and I went through that. Hate you, mum. Make me, not hate, but why are you doing this to me? But it really equipped me to then be able to get a transfer over to Sydney and have a base and have, something to fall back on and not just rely on my partner or whatever at that time. So I was very grateful, and it equipped me and put me in a good stead for when I moved to Sydney. Yeah.
Did you give up track?
At this stage,
for your man?
No, not for him.
So you raced over an Aussie?
No. So rewind. Prior, like a year or two prior to that, I tore my hamstring, and I was like, really bad injury, which obviously is quite common. It happens, but I just wasn't equipped at the time as to how to deal with setbacks. And we didn't have the exposure and I guess access like people do now in terms of like mental health, how to speak to people, to have certain mentors. And even though it wasn't that long ago, but it was different.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't know I did not know how to process being sat on the bench, trying to come back, frustration, losing to people that I'd usually beat, and just those emotions of feeling like, what is going on? And I now have to claw my way back. Like I've never had that. So and no one's fault. It was just I just didn't have access to that. So it really shut me down, and I went, and I all of a sudden became kind of a teenager, if that makes sense, like your standard teenager. Because prior to that, I didn't really. My life was school and track. That's all I knew.
Just quite focused,
Quite focused.
And quite busy.
And quite busy.
Would that have been your first real setback?
Yes, yeah, I'd say so. And then that's when I tried to come back 2 seasons, but then eventually just kind of drifted off.
Yeah.
And then kind of got amongst my peers my age who all starting to go out, starting to go clubbing, all those kind of normal things. Yeah. But it was newer to me. So then once I got exposed to it, I would say, didn't do anything like dramatic or drastic, but definitely went that way and chose a lesser path for sure, like just experimenting, I guess.
Wow, that's so. Did you have dreams of? We're going to get to the fighting. We're going to naturally get to this conversation, but did you have dreams and aspirations of making it in track and field?
Yeah, absolutely. You did? Yeah, 100%.
Like going like because you went to Junior Olympics, and so you wanted to play in the big. Go to the big games. Yeah,
absolutely, like Commonwealths and things like that. And I was still considered in the under-20s age group when I had eventually stopped, which I was like 18. Yeah. So I was still running age groups, but I was running open women's as well, just for extra competition and things like that. And the path I was going on, the peers and coaches and my other teammates around me who I was competing with, we were top in New Zealand, so that was where we were going.
You say, if you knew now maybe what you didn't know then, with access to people to talk to, processing what you went through, because that would have been a massive hole for you to try and dig out of. You couldn't lean on your mentors and your coaches. Did you not? I'm just thinking about people who are processing setbacks now, that they can lean on other people and lean on mentors and stuff. Did you just go, I'm closing the door on that?
I honestly think I just got a bit distracted. I think I was seeking for something because it was a big, like you said, a big hole. And who am I? What am I without this that I've done since I was 6 years old? Now I'm not winning, or like I've got to all of a sudden adjust to and really fight my way back, but not knowing how to do that really, because I haven't had to do that. So, and then I allowed I guess just outside distractions and just what other people around me were doing. And it was obviously a good distraction for the moment.
But a lot of people your age, I guess, or not your age, but I mean like then, right? So 18-ish.
Even younger,
They're like trying to find themselves, right? It's like an identity thing.
Yes.
Whereas your identity up until for the last 10 years or whatever it was an athlete.
Yeah.
And that was it. And one of the things that we worked hard on in the league behind the scenes is not making that your identity.
Yes.
So it's like, and we'll sort of have this this thing where it's like, we try not to use, or we don't use plan B in our environment. You've got 2 plan A's. So your plan A, well, one is to play NRL and be a league player, professional, whatever. That's a plan A. What's your other plan A away from that, We've got guys who want to open up businesses, cafes, barbershops, whatever it is, So if you don't have that, that would have been that period there where it's just working out, well, that plan A is a bit on the bench at the moment because you pulled your hammy. Working out what the other one is,
Yeah, absolutely. And I just and that's something that's such a great now that we have access to, and people like yourself who's been there, done it all as well. Put these strategies in place and seen what the generation before has had to navigate and come through as well, and have these programs and things like that on access to them. That just wasn't. That was all I knew. That was all I knew. And there was a plan B, and there was or a plan A, another but I just didn't want to. That wasn't in my sights. Like that's not anything I gave any considerable thought to.
Yeah.
It was this or nothing because I loved it so much. I was so passionate and dedicated so much time and had all my friends and had all my crew and everything. Like you were just immersed in it, right? So, yeah. That's and then I just went a bit not, and when I say off the rails, I didn't do anything too crazy, but let myself down, I would say, like throughout the time. But like also no regrets because I was just young trying to figure it out.
Athletes still do that now.
Yeah, like, and it got exposed to
everything's all in one basket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And partly that particular trait, I would say, has also gotten me to where I have been and later on in life too. Just being all in on something, and I'm not saying that that's smart, because absolutely people should, but the way that I'm wired, and I've realised this as I've gotten older, I have to be, but for me to give, I started fighting so late, and I did not grow up in any kind of martial arts. Once I made that decision, like, okay, if you're gonna do this, like I just went all in, and now I had to turn my back on, like, not turn my back, but I had to go against family. I had to go against, other people's judgments of me, and I had to sacrifice money and a career that I was very safe in, and completely changed my life. And it was just a decision, and it was something that drove me to get in a small amount of time to a place where I started to ascend to as a fighter.
Okay, you're the one who brought it up, so let's go there right there, because you summed it up, but there's a lot to unpack there.
Lot, yeah.
So let's start with Mum.
Yeah.
And then that conversation with Mum. So I'm on Mum. I said, Mum, I'm going to fight. And did she want to punch you in the face?
Yeah, she just...
What village is from?
Well, yeah, we're from a few, but just outside the city. Makauku and... Lefanga.
Okay, so tell us about that conversation was that a conversation were you fighting before you told Mum, or...
No, I had tried it. I had tried not and never stepped into the ring or had a professional or amateur fight or anything like that. Just training, working the pads, and that was it. But it was after a trip from Thailand, and then just as an adult and as someone who's seen life and been through it, your daughter comes back after a little 1 month holiday and is, I'm gonna and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, and she was just like, you're ridiculous, There was another whole conversation or conversations that, and we just we butted heads a bit, and because and as a parent, obviously, and now I'm older, I realize that you're only looking out for your kids, and you're just hearing them come with their dumb ideas and their dumb ambitions, and and you're just like, oh. And then so at first I think she kind of shunned it off, like, okay, and then she saw I was making segue and putting things in place and getting things organised to transition.
Building a gym at home.
And just like because I was going to move over to Thailand. It was after a holiday.
How old are you right now? How old are you during this period?
So I was 23.
23?
No, but this was before my first fight was 23. So I was like 22, 21, 22 when it started to happen.
Yeah.
And my first fight was when I was 23. So and
go back to Mum.
Yeah, and so Mum, just absolutely hated the idea and just thought, because she just thought I was doing it for a boy. Like she thought I was this other reason. Like you can't seriously want to be. You can't seriously want to be a fighter. You have never done martial arts growing up. You have never.
Yeah.
Or like what is it about this? What is it about this lifestyle and sport that's got you so enamored to want to change your life? Like you're living in Sydney, you're a young 21-year-old doing well, making a good salary for that time and for what I was doing.
And you're a girl.
And I'm a girl, and we just I don't know. It was just like she was just really disappointed in like what I was trying to pursue, and she just couldn't quite fathom that I really. But it was, and I probably didn't really fully understand what it was I was trying to do. I think what it did is it that time and introduction into that sport and that lifestyle and that environment showed me what was pure and what was right, and showed me what hard work and taught me how to be humble. Like, not that I was not humble. You just, I wasn't.
This is what Genah's saying about humble.
No, like, you know, and as a young, and I was living in Sydney, and so, you know, we were doing our thing out there. I think it just showed me like all the superficial things don't really matter, and I was very much, you know, just caught up in that. And I just, it's whatever it was bringing out of me, self-confidence, true self-belief, true endorphins, and all those things, like, just like, wow, very empowering. I think that's what I was drawn to.
Awesome.
And yeah.
But
I couldn't explain that at the time to Mum, so she just didn't get anything, which I totally understand.
Are you saying someone Mum didn't understand endorphins?
See, I'm listening.
Yeah, go for a run. Yeah.
See, when you're talking there, I understand what you're saying, right? But I'm also listening as a dad.
Yeah.
And like as a dad who's listening to their daughter saying all this stuff and saying, yeah, well, how about you go endorphins in the room? Do you know? It's like, but so...
Yeah.
Oh, man, so did she eventually give in to you to your dreams, or did she not? And did you just pursue them anyway? Did you get her blessing? What did that look like?
Yeah, at some point it was just a bit frayed at the time, of course. And you know, she's the goat, so she loves me and she wants to support me. She'll never not be there. But it did put a strain because it was hard for her to accept and to really see the pathway that, because there was no pathway. And what you're going to go do it in Thailand? Why don't you just join the fighting gym down the road and do your thing here, and work and still have a life or whatever? You're going to go to Thailand, and like this was at a time where, and it might still be like this, I'm not too sure, but like there was a lot of drug trafficking and stuff, so she thought I was part of something. Like she started to think like, you know, I've met someone. It was one of those watching the news, and then I met someone over there that's like, it was so far from the case, but I just have to deal with all these ridiculous questions and calls and things.
Yeah, but ridiculous to you, but not to your mum is looking after her daughter.
100%. I realize that wholeheartedly now. But at the time when you're young, you don't want to hear it, and you just want to tell, you know.
Oh, so you were just telling her over the phone?
No. No. Oh, it's like it was. Are you still there, Mum? Yeah. Mum. No. It was like throughout a period of like. Yeah, and just when we would, and I didn't want to hear it because I was so adamant, I was so headstrong.
Oh, you didn't want to hear it?
Well, I just didn't like if she was coming at me with all these ridiculous accusations.
For you. That's their fun. Out in the bush, out in the
grass.
Yeah. So again, I come back to being a dad as well, right? Like, so you two are afraid. She's saying one thing as a mum. She's trying to protect her daughter.
Yes.
Her daughter's going into the fight game.
Yeah.
And she's never been in a fight game. I've taken Genah to track running. You know, not running on someone's face. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of somebody watching this now, right?
Yeah.
Who wants to chase their dreams, and you can't help but admire you for wanting to be determined. Plus, you're an adult at this stage. You can make up your own mind.
A young adult. I was a young adult, and I was also quite like, though I looked mature because I was always quite tall, but I was actually quite silly. Like in terms of worldly experience and culture, I didn't know what I did.
Well, see, this is so back again to the parent who understands all of that and sees all of that. But my daughter, you don't know anything just yet. You know, you haven't experienced the world like I have.
Yeah.
So knowing that what you know now. What do you say to a young Genah who might be listening right now, who's determined to make it whatever, regardless of what my parents say? And then you got a mum or a dad who's going, I'm just trying to look after you. This is going back to that, what's overprotecting?
Yeah.
When do you have to let go as a parent, and when do you have to go as a young athlete?
Yeah, goodness.
Good question.
Yeah, good question. Great question, Stella.
Finally.
And then like now, as I've gotten older, and also from my little sisters, because the closest thing I can compare to that is times where I've had to be a big sister to my little sisters, and things I've I know and experience, so that's what I can liken it to. But I don't know what I'd say to young me then, because like I was a bit of a whiapoko as well, because, and so that's part of it. But
I reckon that's your personality, though. Not whiapoko, but your personality is like you're all in. You're quite determined. And if you think about your journey so far, like you sort of had your track sort of environment.
Yeah, and then
you refocus. You went over to the shore, which is a long way from out west, and you're focused there. You're winning.
Yeah.
Make a decision. You're moving to Sydney at 18, 19. All right, and that's like
I get all that, and that's great to have those ambitions, right? But I'm also looking at from a parent who might be listening now as well.
100%.
So I guess advice for maybe the parent.
Yeah. So obviously, I 100% understand and do not blame my mother or any parent. And like conversations I've had with friends and things who have had similar, in their own way, these similar experiences. Like, all you can do is just as the child, as the kid, but I feel like everyone has to go through their journey and stages. But what I'd say back to me at that time is just be easy on your mother, be understanding, be compassionate, walk her through.
Or your father.
Or your father, yes, your mother, your father from St. Paul's or Lassana, especially.
That's great advice. That's what you can say, actually.
And just and work with them, like communicate with them. Don't let them, don't get them worried. If it's something that you're like, Mum, I'm going for this, or Dad, I really want to try for this team, or I really want to move over to Turkey, or wherever whatever the thing is. And also for parents, like, I think everyone here knows what it's like to be at that young, ambitious, careless and free age. And so it is scary. And as because you know the world better than this little whippy does, you know what I mean? So it's just
so my daughter's 20, right?
Yeah.
And last year she sort of wanted to move out. Right, just move out of home.
Yeah.
Just go like one suburb down. Yeah. It's not like overseas where you went.
Yeah. But even that.
But for us, it was like,
still,
for me and my wife, it was like, just take a deep breath, and we were like, okay. But you're trying to sort of support them to understand, and we can see what's going to happen down the track.
Yes.
More than likely. Yes. 6 months later, she's been eating noodles for 2 months. Yeah. There's nothing in the fridge.
That's the journey. That's the journey.
And she's moved back home. She's moved back home, right?
Oh, she?
Yeah, which is cool. Well, cool for us, right?
Yeah.
But it's like she kind of had to go on that.
Can I just say that's cool? You like having your kids at home, because some parents don't.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Some.
I know some parents like. I love that, because some parents are like, no, okay, you're going, you go, like, cool, go.
But that's like Ireland.
I'll always have a home, even at 80 years old. I'll always go back home, like, or have somewhere. That's just how it is. I live with my. And not to be weird, but I sleep with in the same bed as my nana and my cousins.
Yeah, well, that's how we do. We're communal.
Some people find that weird, but I was like, oh no, that's how. Yeah,
this is Islanders.
Yeah,
that's what we do.
Yeah.
I guess from your mum, I'm trying to walk in your mum's shoes at the moment. Not only, here's my daughter who's telling me what she's going to do when she's got no idea.
Yeah.
But she's my daughter. She's a girl who wants to fight, and she's Samoan, German, Maori. Already you're on the back foot, but that's it. But we've just touched on it. It didn't seem like that deterred you at the start.
Yeah.
Right. You weren't. All that stuff doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think from your mum's point of view, she was bringing all of that into focus, into picture for what was to be ahead of you.
Yeah.
So now that you're in the game, how did you feel about being in a male-dominated sport, female, and Samoan, German, Maori?
Yeah, I guess like if I take myself to that time, I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't think about any of those factors until they presented themselves, if that makes sense. So so going back to my mum, it was strained for those initial years, and so it did create a bit of a chip on my shoulder, because like she had seen me get this kind of base and get my foot in the door in one of the top media companies in Australasia, then take it over there to then set myself up better with my partner, who she loved, and our families were very intermingled, both Samoan. And so, and then she saw us like from the outside doing well, you know, like young couple living in Sydney. He's playing league, she's working. We've got a house and together and cars. So like but we were just young and, you know, didn't know what we were doing and were making our mistakes. And so she just saw me go from something that looked stable but it wasn't. It looked stable. It looked all these things from the outside, what a parent would love to see, right? But not really knowing under the surface kind of what was happening, going on, and how we were growing and things like that. And then to make this decision, which I totally understand. And so it put a bit of a chip on my shoulder, if I'm being honest, like on everyone that ever doubted me, or anyone that questioned what I was doing or why I was doing it. Friends at home, other family members, my own mother, my own father, and of course love. But it was just like, oh well, I've got a I can't come home type mentality till I have achieved something or shown a way that I'm making something of this. And I was fortunate enough at the time when I first initially moved to Thailand that they, the gym I was a part of, they needed they had like some social marketing, and social media was starting to become a thing. It wasn't like how it is today, but they were starting to. So they needed people on the team, which was my background and experience. So I was able to live, get paid, support myself, and train. I just wanted to train. And so initially, like back to what you were saying about like the factors of me being a girl from here, Samoa, like all those things, I just wanted I chased the feeling of what it did and what it brought out of me, because I'd never been given my own identity for a few years, I think. Like I kind of fell into being my partner's girlfriend and what he did and things like that. But I knew I was just so talented and good at things and naturally athletic, and I had all these things, but it kind of gave me a high. Nice. And I was based overseas for the first time. That was a whole new experience on my own. Everyone attracted to me. They loved our different accent. They loved we were just different.
This in Thailand?
Different. Yeah, in Thailand. And where I was particularly was a lot of expats, like from all over.
Oh, yeah.
This is by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, by myself. And I had made friends, like prior, like, you know, people I'd met and things like that. And so I had obviously contacts there, and you just it was an environment where people became very close fast, because they're also from different parts of the world. You know, people are there for fights, people are there to train, lose weight, whatever their motivations was, but there are a lot of expats. So I think it was me also experiencing my first real cultural, like outside of our culture, like experience, and standing on my own 2 feet and trying to make it work, and being exposed to all these different nationalities that like we hadn't been I hadn't been exposed to or known prior. So it was all of it. Like it was very, very interesting. It was and then like being young, and you know, you like attention or whatever. Not that was ever a driver for me, but you know, you're getting all this attention, or like people think you're interesting and great and want to know about where you're from and and wow, you're amazing and cool, and then we all bond over these things. I think the whole lot of it just I was quite enamored with at the time. Yeah.
Because that's a massive deal to go halfway around the world.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is, you know, we've spoken from a team sport perspective. So you've got the support of, you know, the people around you, and you're not, you know, you can lean on that. Yeah. You're all alone in more ways than one. Yeah. You know, you're alone in the ring, you're alone in another place. Yeah. So, but that didn't bother you? You didn't have any mental blocks there?
Yeah, I did. And because I made this, from what it seemed like to my family and friends, and this drastic decision, and then all of a sudden I was there, and then posting pictures and and you know, in the jungles, like literally, and they I had to I had that head. I think certain situations presented themselves where I really felt like the people closest to me were doubting me, or not backing me 100%. So it turned me into a different person, I guess. or not a different person, just it lit something under me to where I was very, very motivated. And whether they were like negative thoughts sometimes, but it just drove me to pursue what I was doing. And then eventually I did get into fighting. Like it took me over a year of training and stuff like that till I had my first fight. And then I thought my first fight, I thought I was one and done. I just was like, I was just like the anxiety, the build up, the everything. I just wasn't used to it. And I won the fight and it came off fine. It was just the emotions I didn't know how to process and things like that, like of it getting real. And I just said, okay, cool, bucket list. Done. Wicked. I love training it. I love the training aspect of it and the community and whatever. But that's cool. That's where I'll leave it. But another fight happened, and then I think just each time I got better at handling the stress and the anxiety of things, and then also
releasing it all.
Releasing it all. And each time I grew from each fight, and even though I was like, no, not this, and then I'd somehow be locked into another fight.
Is that Muay Thai?
Muay Thai was it?
Muay Thai.
Yeah. Was it?
You don't say like Muay, so it's Muay.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Sorry.
My God.
He's new to this.
No, that's common sake. No.
You know, some young people when they try and chase their dreams, right? And they move away from home and they move overseas. Nigel's seen this in leagues countless amounts of times.
Yeah.
And they tell their families, I'm gone. There's some of them who go, I can't let anyone down. So I'm going to stay here even though I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go home because I'll look like a failure. What you're saying now didn't seem to resonate. You were the opposite. You sort of like, I'm going to use this as fuel to keep going. But was there ever a time you thought, I can't go back home because I'll look like a failure? And what do you say to people who think like that?
But you know what? Like that really was what the driving force behind it was. What you've just said. I can't afford to go back and fail because I've made this decision and I've backed myself into a bit of a corner. Like is in terms of like something is going to come from this. I can't go back with my my
tail between your legs.
Tail between my legs. Like so
but it's okay to if things don't work out to turn around, right?
Oh no, absolutely. And you realize that later, but at the time, and I think being young and ego and ambitious and just making some of the decisions I made at that point, like I was like, oh well, I don't have any other option now, and that's what I told myself.
Yeah.
But of course, it's as life's gone on and other things have presented themselves, of course it's 100% okay to try something and fail at it, or try something and it not work out so much. But at that point in time, and especially because I was abroad, and the whole environment and situation of it, I was very much like, I'm going to stay here till something comes of this, till I crack it in some way, or there's a pathway for me to pursue. And so it was a very tough mindset to be in. It made me a bit angry, like in those years. At some point, like it kind of made me, but I was always me. I was always like talkative and lovely and things like that. That was me. But I think as life happened and as I had to kind of fend for myself, or like I felt like I didn't have anywhere to go back to. Like that's kind of, but I did. But those were the things that like I was telling myself and how I viewed it at the time. So I got a bit bitter, like in terms of, just.
What did you use to get you through some of those mental fatigue and making sure you were okay because you're by yourself and stuff. So when you felt like you were struggling, what did you lean into?
Thankfully, like I said, you had a community of people who were all in the same boat, not maybe for the same reasons I was there, but had a lot of people working there, had a lot of people, obviously fighters and people coming over to train and get fit and stuff. So there was a lot of like-minded people there. So you definitely did have a community, but you didn't actually, like thinking back at the time, and I would have been so open and so hey, how's it going to anyone, you don't know these people's stories or where they come back. But then, yeah, I've found some people throughout those years, and even some of the Kiwi boys now that did their stints over there, Kai Kara France, Dan Hooker, they'd been there, they've been fighting a bit longer than me, but at this point, but they've done their stints there. We all crossed, that's how we all, came together, and then we all came back home. Brad Riddell, like people like that. So yeah, like everyone was just on their own journey, and thankfully you had other people in that same mindset and in that same predicament where they were also there on their own, one out, and kind of you leaned on each other. So I was thankful for that, and some really good people. And then you found some really crappy people, which is anywhere.
Part of the journey, right?
Yeah. So that also helped you grow and learn, and you had to navigate your way through those, and not being able to go to your mums or dads and just I need to come home for a minute. You had to figure it out and navigate your way through it. Yeah.
And sacrifice.
I sacrificed a lot. I sacrificed family. I sacrificed my nana when her health, because she was always such a strong, active, very healthy woman. And later in the journey, she got sick. She got sick, and then I got so this was later, and she was just I always talked to her a lot, obviously, but then I could just really start to tell her memory and things, because she got dementia, and those things starting to deteriorate. And so that was probably the hardest thing.
I guess I asked that question because
and
you
it's fine.
talk about you got to be all in, 2 feet in, not 1 foot on other camp, and there's going to be sacrifice. That's all part of the journey. And then so she, her, and then obviously all my family were back here looking after her, and then it just got to a point where she just was not as responsive and things like that in terms of her speech, and she went they say with dementia and things like that, with people who are multilingual, they'll forget, because English was their second language, and they'll go back to their original first language, and that's what happened. So I couldn't communicate with her anymore as fluently because she would only speak Samoan, but it wouldn't even make sense, a lot of it. But that's where what happened. And so then she passed away during the whole lockdown period when our country was in COVID, and I was trapped overseas. I couldn't get back. Oh man.
Oh yeah, that was rough. That's when I was fighting in the PFL season with Ray and everything, but it was just the way that our country was at the time, and nuts. Nuts, crazy time.
Being a fighter, did that help? You could release a little bit of energy?
Yes, 100%. I just threw myself into my training, and just was obsessed with everything that I was doing, because I had to be, because that was just a place where I could keep focus and also channel all the emotions into that. And then we tried to get back home. We had to supply all these documents and things like that, because she was first of kin kind of thing. But it was such a crazy time. It was such a crazy time for everyone. And I couldn't get back. So I watched my nana's funeral on a live stream. But what flipped it and what warmed my heart was seeing all my family, when they would pan over, however they do it, to the to everyone, just seeing all their faces, and I thought it would make me break down, but it actually gave me a lot of strength, because I just saw everyone there, and aunties, uncles, cousins, everyone, all my older aunties, my nana's age and stuff like that. Just it was just beautiful, and I was just okay, I know, she knows, she knows what I'm doing.
Absolutely.
That's right.
How's things with mum now?
Oh beautiful. No, much better. And it's been years of years of years of forgiving on both ends. Throughout the time I've done it, and then once she saw me as a person change, and the things I went out and did, and the things I developed as more as a human and as a person, and then I started to obviously get qualifications and things, and like become going down that path and traveling all over the world and just seeing all the cool things I was experiencing. She then understood it, and then she then got it, and so then the tide started to turn in terms of like her understanding of what I was doing, and she could see I was really truly doing it for good, not not the initial thoughts, I guess, of
not to bring any cocaine back into the kitchen.
That was, I swear, that was definitely like that's something she rang me one night, and I was just like,
she just saw on the news.
yeah, those ones, I stopped watching the news, and so it was it got ridiculous to the point I would just get frustrated, like if you can't trust what I'm saying or believe, and but I guess
you understand it though.
Yeah, of course, of course. And honestly, I thought about it like when I do have kids, after I finish this in a couple of years, when I do have kids, like I think if any one of my kids ever came to me, boy or girl, and said I want to be a fighter, I probably would stop them, like So I'm like, I probably would, or you know what I mean? You can be anything else.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Oh, it's a tough life. It's a tough life, but it's the best life, and it's the most rewarding. So I think I really think about it, and I'm like, what did you do? You went for against everyone's will and everyone's thing, and it made you an incredible person, and you did some incredible things, and like you've seen some things, and it's made you so equipped in life, and the things you've been able to experience through the good and the bad. It's been out of it.
Yeah, but if they've got some of your DNA,
so like
they've got some of your DNA. They're not listening to you.
Yeah. And I'm my nana. I'm my nana. She came here. Yeah. She gangstered her way through New Zealand at a time where they were
same
just
with our parents.
Yes, of all of our that generation,
all that sort of stuff.
And it was a tough era to grow up, and I'm sure we don't know the full, but like the stories I've heard, and they were just gangsters, man. They did everything they could to support their families and give them an opportunity. Yeah. So like I've got that from her, like that, like I don't know what you call it, but nothing is going to stop you from getting what you want or getting what you're going for. Yeah. Because a lot of people can be stopped and deterred through fear of something. And I don't have that. I do have embarrassment and shame.
Outside noise.
Yeah, but when I'm onto something, it's just it really doesn't matter if I really want it. And that's when I know if I don't want something, because I'm like, oh, well,
but have you always been like that? I mean, I was thinking like back when you were trapped, right? Or if you're 10 years old, have you always been that kid? Were you always that? I'm going to get ice cream. I don't care. I've got no money, but I'm going to get it.
I think so.
That's that meant. Like,
I'm going to walk out of the shop and not even pay for it.
Yeah. Stop me.
Auckland girls, go Marie. Auckland girls, go.
Auckland girls, stop me now.
Yeah, shut up.
How do you like me now?
Gary, no.
That's a trait I reckon you've had for a long time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. When I really sit back and talk about everything, like something always correlates, and it's like. And actually people have said that to me, close friends. They're like, I remember we were trying to find this illegal stream to watch one of the UFC cards. We couldn't pay for the pay-per-view or something. This is years ago. And I was like, I know this site, cool. And I was hunting for it for like an hour. And my friends given up. They're like, this is annoying. Just we'll find, forget about it. Yeah. And I was like determined. I was like, no, I know I can get it. I know I can get it. And then my friend stops me. And I was like, Genah, like, if you want something, nothing stops you, like this, like we've given up and we're over it. Yeah. And it's like, but when your mind is on something, you don't stop. And I'm like, and I didn't it didn't click at the time, but then it resonated later that I was just like, oh yeah, maybe, oh yeah.
You know what? Don't go changing, dude. Don't go changing, Genah. I think that's a really nice place to stop it there. I really, you said you're going to maybe start a family in a couple of years' time, and you're going to have your kids grow up. Yeah. Get them to watch the Valid Athlete podcast, and you put it in front of them about your journey, and maybe that might sway them of doing what they want to do.
Hopefully.
But don't stop chasing.
No.
And don't stop chasing.
Yeah. Some big things coming up for next year, early next year, and this new code that I'm pursuing, which is boxing. I love it. And I'm really good at it, so I'm just learning and unlearning a lot. So that I think that's what is inspiring me to pursue it, is because it's just like, okay, this is a new little fire. But a couple of big shows in the new year, and Yeah.
Well,
And then one day.
well, if you need
Sit
some
down.
practice boxing someone's face, can you please box us?
It's not lunchtime anymore.
Genah, we appreciate you sitting in on the Village Athlete
Thank
podcast.
you.
You've been wonderful.
You guys have been. I'm really honoured to be on. It would be the first female guest on your show, and just to think it's amazing what you guys are doing. And honestly, like, full support and love on my end. It's I love seeing it too. So thank you.